this. So, those of you who know will immediately see what's wrong here. So I have contact between the shackle and the pitman arm. These are anti-inversion shackles to prevent this exact thing happening. They should have gone the opposite way around, and what's happened is the shackle's inverted. This had happened while four-wheel driving in an extremely remote part of Galicia. Now I have a big problem, and I'm a long way from help. I didn't know how to put this right without getting the vehicle up on jack stands, unbolting the shackles, knocking them out, and resetting them. Yeah, this is not something that I can do on the road. I continued on my way through Galicia, travelling along spectacular dirt routes, hugging the rugged Galician coast, and eventually cutting back inland and heading into the forest, searching for a place to camp. It was at this point that I suddenly lost all braking on the trail and pulled over to find that the shock had rubbed through a brake line, causing the hydraulic braking system to lose pressure. I managed to limp the car to an overnight stop in a municipal RV service area. Well, my shackle inversion issue has become a much greater problem. So last night I was driving on a trail and I lost all braking, and it turns out that because of the orientation of the axle, the shock has pinched a brake line. You can see it in there, and it's actually ruptured the brake line and knackered it totally. And so all my brake fluid is leaked out, as you can see here, on basically everything. This has become a much bigger problem than just reorientating shackles. Basically, I can't continue. My problem here was that all my brake fluid had leaked out overnight, and I didn't have a spare bottle. If I had, I would have been able to bodge something together to get back on the road. This means I'm going to have to do some local reconnaissance. So it's like a kilometre back to town. Go and get this brake fluid. I set off hiking towards the town, leaving the cruiser behind, having packed as many valuables into my rucksack as I could. I got back to the car an hour later, having been extorted in a motorcycle workshop. 25 euros for a litre of brake fluid. But the result was good. Yeah, that's actually... I got freaking brakes! Back underway, I was going to have to do a temporary fix. I loosened the fixings on the ruptured brake line, and following suggestions from some of my more mechanically inclined audience, I used a hammer to beat the brake line flat, effectively sealing off the brake line and cutting off one caliper, but allowing me to repressurize the braking system and giving me back brakes. Now I just needed to de-invert my suspension. I firstly tried and failed with a bottle jack between the leaf and the chassis, and then moved on to a more arcane method. This suggestion also came from a follower, and it involves looping a recovery strap around a tree, then around the shackle, and then reversing backwards. Yes, it freaking works. I pulled the other shackle back in line using the same method, and that was me back underway. A temporary fix, but enough to allow me to continue on the trail.